during the season of Lent, love is. We're going to take a look at 1 Corinthians 13 over the next 5 weeks and lay the foundation for love and then to see what love is and what love does. So to start, I want to just kind of give some song titles. And if you remember these, or if you know these, go ahead and call them out. So, Stevie Wonder called just to say, very good, okay, we got Stevie Wonder. Let's see what else. Elvis Can't Help Falling in Love, very good, got that one, that's pretty good. Huey Lewis is fascinated by the power of love. All right, good, good. He is right, crazy little thing called love. Very good. Counting Crows, they are accidentally in love. I don't know how that happens, but I guess you can, like they're accidentally in love. Then Rihanna, she is delighted that we found love. So am I, by the way, delighted that we found love. And Beyonce, of course, is crazy. Right? Now I know what you're thinking. After listening to Beyonce, you're done. Well, no, not really, but I do know how to Google, right? I do know how to Google. So I Googled love, and do you know that there are over 31,000 songs over the last 65 years in Billboard that made the top 10 with love and life? Right? And 9% of those became number one. So it's estimated that there are over 100 million songs that have been written about love. All kinds of them, and most of them have one thing in common in that most of them would say that love is an emotion or feeling, a romantic notion. What we're here to see over these next 5 weeks is that love is a lot more than that. More than an emotion, more than a notion or a feeling, but it is what we say, it's what we know about other people, what we do with that knowledge, finally how we act toward them. So let's take a look. We're going to begin with the words of Paul. You look at your notes. We're going to begin in the opposite way. What would the world look like without love? What would it look like if there was no love in what we say, or in our knowledge, or what we do? So the words of Paul, 1 Corinthians 13 says, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I'm only resounding God, or claiming sin. Paul's writing to the church in Corinth, and this is a very intelligent group of people. They're eloquent in their words, they use big words all the time, they're always trying to impress one another with their language. But he says, I don't care. I don't care about the eloquence. I don't even care if you were to use divine or supernatural language. If you could talk like the angels, doesn't matter if there isn't any love. So he's saying words without sincerity, without kindness, without compassion, are void of love. So imagine a couple things. What, about 10 days ago, we celebrated Valentine's Day. How many of you celebrated Valentine's Day? A lot of you did. How many of you sent or wrote or gave a Valentine's card? Cards? Now, if you go to Hallmark, to the American card, whatever, and you have this beautiful flowery language, but then you act like a jerk towards your loved one, kind of negates the whole power of the card, doesn't it? Reminds me of grade school. Do you still do this in grade school? We used to get these boxes, shoe boxes. You still do that? And we would put pink paper all over them, cut out some hearts, nice red hearts, put it on the box, cut the hole in the top, and then you were required, and this was, yeah, it was required. You had to give everyone in the class a Valentine, right? Even the girl who said you had cooties, right? Had to give one, and you got all of these, and some of them, you know, if you really liked the guy or girl, you would give them a very special one, or maybe the little candy heart. You would give some of those out, saying, "Be my Valentine." I mean, how much meaning did that have? And then you went out on the playground and you pulled their hair. Your words, they matter. What you say, and then he said, what if the Bible? If there was no love, if there were only judgment. You read the Psalms differently, would you? The wisdom of Solomon would have a whole different meaning, the teachings of Jesus. What we say is important. But also, so is knowledge. Knowledge is important as well. You know a lot about the people around you. And God knows everything about you. So again, this is what Paul writes. He says, if I have a gift of prophecy, we can fathom history, you know, knowledge, and even if I have a faith that can move mountains, wouldn't that be great? To move a mountain and say, go throw yourself in the sea. But if you don't have love, then you are nothing. You know, really smart people that you don't want to have a lot to do. And it's not because they're smarter than us, but it's because they don't care. Have you ever had a doctor with no bedside manner? I mean, the smartest guy has gone to medical school, he knows everything. Good to either surgery, they're the best. But then, without any compassion, no kindness, no caring at all, says that you have cancer. For work, do we have a few months to live? Or the chef that's more impressed with himself than the people who are eating the meal that she's prepared. John Maxwell is a leadership guru. He said it this way: that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You see, knowledge without love is nothing more than conceit and arrogance. It's amazing the people in Corinth, they love to debate. Not like today, like we do on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Here's one position, here's another. They love, but they would get together in a forum like this and they would debate each other. They didn't care about the other side. They only wanted to win their point. Imagine if God were like that. If the Bible were nothing more than facts and figures. God is all powerful, He's all knowing, He's holy, He's perfect. No love, no kindness, no compassion. We'd always be looking over our shoulder because we know that we sin. We confessed it earlier, didn't we? In our words, we're not always kind. In our actions, we're often self-centered. But even in our thoughts, some of you just look over your shoulder because lightning is about to strike you right now because of your thoughts. I mean, that's if God was like that. And the last one, what do we do? Again, Paul writes, if I give all I possess to the poor, give my body to hardship, that I may boast and don't have love. The Corinthians weren't much different than us in the church. There's a whole cross-section of people from all kinds of different backgrounds. There in Corinth, they would have what we would call a potluck today for every worship service, even a part of the service. We call it the Lord's Supper now. They had bread and wine, and there would be those. They would cut in the front of the line, they were the ones who were the haves, they were privileged, and they would gorge themselves. And then the rest of us poor folks were in the back of the line, and nothing like front. You go away hungry. Why? There's no love there. You're only concerned about yourself. But he goes on and says, but okay, let's say you do feed the poor. Well, look at your money. And it kind of would be like this. Let's say that, I lost my job. I got all kinds of bills on the kitchen table that I can't pay. The bill collectors are calling all the time. But even though I blocked my number, they still find me somehow. The bank's about to foreclose. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue from nowhere, this billionaire says, I'm going to pay all your bills. All of it. I'm going to take care of all of it. Put you back on your feet. And you think, Eureka, that is awesome. Then you find out, this guy didn't care about you at all. He doesn't want to get to know you. He doesn't really want to know how he got into the situation. He has no compassion, doesn't care. It's just total. He's going to pay all your money, get his picture in the paper, pop himself up in front of all of his billionaire friends. And I don't know about you, but I want this money. But in the back of my mind, I can tell you, that I'm thinking, I wish I didn't have to take this money. Oh. Our motives for what we do, they're important. Now, in that situation, my greatest need is not the money, it's not financial, it's not wisdom or knowledge or even eloquence, but our greatest need, my greatest need, your greatest need, always love. And here's the good news for today. Thankfully, the world that we live in is not devoid of love. And that's because we have a God of love. The God who created us, who imagined this world from the very beginning, is the God of love. Have you thought about that? Why are you here? Because God loves you. Why is the world here? Because God loves you. He made the world in the first place for human beings. So we could share in a relationship with God. And everything that God has done is bathed in love. From creation. And even after we fell away, when Adam and Eve rebelled and when we continued to sin, what did we hear again in the confession? We had the absolution. You're forgiven. Because Jesus became one of us. The incarnation. Became flesh, became human. Took all of our sin upon himself and then put it to death on the cross, the crucifixion. And it's not just for this life, but then we have the resurrection. And the hope for all of us. And when this life ends, there's an even better life that God has in store that we call heaven. All that God has done from the very beginning is bathed in love. That's the foundation. Now, over these next 5 weeks, we want to take a look at what love is and what love does in our life. You heard in the children's message from Pastor Kirk, love is what? Patient. In what we say, in what we know, and what we do. What we say, how we say. The words, others, is important. Now, I want you to think of this. Who is the most patient person that you know? Turn to the person next to you, hopefully, and say, I hope it's you. Hope it's you. Right? Maybe, I don't know. Right? Now, bear with me. This person that you say is patient. You could probably also say they're loving. Because love is patient. So, of course, the most patient, loving person we know is Jesus. So I want to look at just a couple of quick examples this morning. We'll do this every week. So here's the first one. Need context, as always. A few days after the resurrection, Jesus is risen from the grave. A couple of disciples, doesn't tell us who they are, but probably those who had been walking with Jesus, maybe one of the 12, probably at least one of the 70 or two of the 70. They're walking along the road to Emmaus, and they're talking about what's been going on the last week. I mean, big news. Bigger than the U.S., Canada, hockey league. Go Eagles. Jesus, just a week earlier, had this tremendous parade. We call it Palm Sunday. Everyone were waving the palms and throwing down their cloaks, and Jesus was riding in on the donkey, and the trumpets are blaring. Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And then it changed, right? Jesus is arrested. And he's tortured, he's beaten. And then, of course, he's executed. And these are disciples, and it's terrible, it's awful. But we just heard from some of the women, Mary, they've seen him. What's going on? And then miraculously, Jesus appears. And he walks with them. And what does it say? Beginning with Moses and the prophets. He tells them all that's happened according to the Scripture. About himself. About how he had to suffer and die. And he had to go to the cross. It's all a part of God's plan. He does it patiently. He walks with them and he talks with them. He even goes to dinner with them. It says a few more hours explaining everything. Love is patient. And what we say is important. And what we know is important as well. Now, another example, this one I don't have a reference for you, but remember the Samaritan woman? She's at the well. Why is that important? Because it's in the middle of the day. It's not the best time to go to the well. It's not the best time to get water. Hot. You do it in the morning or the evening. But Jesus knows why she is there. She has lived a very sordid life. Jesus knows that she has had 5 husbands. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking in the back of my head, did she join them all? What happened to them? And now she's with number 6. And Jesus doesn't say, oh, you're working on husband number 6, huh? And he finds just the right moment, and he just asks a question. Will you give me something to drink? Simple enough. She says, sure. And then he said, you know what? I'm going to give you some better water than this. Living water. Eternal water. He says, I'm the one who provides the water. So you'll never be thirsty again spiritually. Tells her he is. That knowledge. Parents. You know, your kids and your grandkids are going to be something wrong. Yeah. Do you lord over them to provide wisdom and knowledge? Remember what John Maxwell said? People don't fear how much you know. Really know how much you fear. So out of love and kindness, you ask some guiding, some leading questions. Help them find their way. What we know is important. What we do with that knowledge is even more important. And finally, Paul says what we do is important. And again, from the life of Jesus, from the words of Jesus. He calls himself the Son of Man. He says, I didn't come to be served, even though I'm the God of the universe. But I came to serve and give my life as a ransom for many. In our gospel for today, do you still remember, it was only a few minutes ago, Peter comes to Jesus. Hey, Rabbi, how many times should I forgive my brother? All the other rabbis say 3 times. Peter thinks he's going to be generous. How about 7? And what did Jesus say? No, not 7, but 77, or every translation 70 times 7. It's not a number, but this is a perfect number. Meaning that when your brother or sister, your spouse, your children, your parents, when they sin against you, you forgive. Because that's what God does. Every single one. You do it forever. As we close this morning, I'm going to give you an illustration that I gave to my son, Andrew, and his bride, Hannah, when they were married back in October. Sharon and I gave them a number of gifts. Really object lessons about their life together. And I think it applies for all of us, whether it's a spouse or a child or another loved one or even a friend. So I gave them an alarm. And it wasn't that, there was no kind of thing that, they're late or that kind of thing. It was simply to remind them of that they need to schedule time. Because we live in a really busy world. Again, Google says that today, Americans average 11 more hours of work a week than we did 20 years ago. I think they're working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And then throwing all of your other obligations, and those of you who have kids, you know what I'm talking about, right?
First, because I think that Kirk's going to intro this video when you're ready.
You're welcome. And to finish with the analogy that Pastor Kirk gave about the road, we're all gardeners of our relationship. We saw a beautiful bouquet. Most roses are bred to be drought resistant. They don't need much water. But if you really want those beautiful blooms, those gorgeous colors, and that full bouquet, they do need a lot of water. So it's up to you, because relationships are like those flowers. You can go weeks, months, even years without spending a lot of time with the people that you love. But it's going to be that droopy, wilted, disease-ridden, bug-infested kind of a relationship. Or you can be like the Lord himself, who pours all of himself into his relationship with each one of us. He's always there for us. And you can do the same for those that you love. Be patient. Do what you say. And how do you use your knowledge in what you do? Because what that is love. God is love. And we are his